Hey there, disruptors. Gip Erskine, values-driven coaching. Welcome to day 4 of Stop Losing on Price. We're almost there, 4 days in, and if you've been following along, like really following along, something has probably started to shift in how you think about the conversations you've been having, the proposals you've been submitting, the meetings you've been preparing for. Because what we've been building across these 4 days isn't a collection of sales tactics. It's a different way of thinking about what you actually bring to the table and what it's worth. So today we're going to talk about proof. And I want to start with a story about a roofer who had no idea he was sitting on a gold mine. He and I were having lunch talking about business as usual and some of his differentiators, the standard process. And at some point I asked him if he knew his EMR, his experience modification rate. He said, yes, it's 0.52. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with the EMR, let me explain it briefly. It's a third-party safety score assigned independently to companies that operate in trades with physical risk. Roofers have an EMR, landscapers have one, window washers, security, janitorial. In fact, everyone who carries commercial general liability insurance, virtually everyone property managers deal with, have an EMR. A score of 1 means you're exactly average for your industry. Above 1 means you carry more risk than most. Below 1 means you're safer than most. And a 0.52, that means this roofer's company was operating at nearly half the risk level of the average roofing company in the country. That's not good. That's exceptional. So I asked him the obvious question. Are you leading with this number? I mean, are you putting it in your proposals? Are you talking about it in your meetings? And he shook his hand. He said, nobody asked for it. And nobody really knows what it means. And I want to be honest with you about how that made me feel. It wasn't sympathy. It was frustration. Not at him, but at the system. Because here's a man, a business development manager who had a clear understanding of safety and training and doing things the right way, sitting on a metric that spoke directly to one of the deepest concerns a property manager carries every single day: risk, liability. And nobody ever told him that number was a weapon. It was exactly the kind of evidence that makes a property manager sit up straighter, that it was the kind of proof that makes a property owner nod his head instead of asking, why didn't you go with the cheaper option? He was leaving it in a drawer somewhere, unmentioned, unused, invisible. And I've thought about that conversation many times since, because it revealed something about this industry that I think deserves to be said plainly. Property managers ask for a lot of information. They issue RFPs with long lists of questions. Years in business, number of clients, client retention rates, employee turnovers, OSHA incident records, training hours, references, certifications, the list goes on. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most property managers, and I included myself in this, don't always know what to do with all that information. It gets collected, it gets filed. It rarely gets weighted into anything meaningful or anything consistent. And it doesn't enter the decision-making calculus, which means the entire evaluation process, the one that's supposed to identify the best value, often defaults to the one number everyone understands: price. Not because price is the best measure, but because it's the easiest one to compare when everything else is sitting in a folder. Now, here's why it matters to you. If you understand which metrics actually tell your story, and if you lead with them confidently and consistently, you have an advantage that most of your competition never have considered. Because you're not waiting for a property manager to figure out what your numbers mean. You're telling them. You're leading with them. You're connecting the dots for them. You're saying, here's what this metric measures. Here's why it matters to you. And here is what it means for your ownership group when they ask why you've made this decision. Plus, you now have equipped them with the ability to make sure that your company's competition submits their own metrics. The property manager is now equipped with a broader set of metrics that matter to them. And now they can insist on receiving them, comparing them, and giving them their proper weight across all the competition. Now, that's not just sales, that's service. You're making the buyer's job easier. You're giving them the advantage, the language that they need to defend a better decision. And that changes everything about how the conversation ends. Let me be specific about what I mean by proof. I'm not talking about vague claims, not we have outstanding customer service, not our team really cares, not we go above and beyond. No, I'm talking about numbers. Your client retention rate. If you retain 95% of your clients year over year, say that. Put it on the first page of your proposal. Put it on your website. Lead with it in your first meeting. Your employee turnover rate. If your turnover rate is significantly lower than the industry average, say it. Because high turnover means unfamiliar faces in the building. It means retraining. It means inconsistency. It means risk. Low turnover means the opposite of all those things. And what matters to a property manager who's responsible for tenant experience? How about your safety record, your EMR, your OSHA incident data, your response time metrics, your years of experience in a specific property type? Each one of those numbers tells a story that price alone never can. And here's the thing I want you to really hear. Most of you are sitting on more metrics than you realize. You've just never been told they were worth leading with. You've never been told that a property manager or an ownership group would sit up straighter when they heard them. You've never been told that the buyer on the other side of the table often needs exactly the kind of evidence to make a confident decision. Not a feeling, not an instinct, evidence. Something they can take upstairs and say, here's why this company is getting the award. Here's why this number is so important. Here's why this decision was made. Your metrics are that evidence, and value that stays invisible might as well not exist at all. So here's your challenge for today. Identify your 3 strongest proof points, not opinions, numbers, percentages, independently verifiable data. Then ask yourself, am I leading with these? Or are they sitting in a drawer somewhere while I compete on price because nobody told me that I had something stronger, something better, something more defensible? Choose one metric, just one, and make it visible. Put it on your proposal. Put it on your LinkedIn profile, on your website, in the first 60 seconds of your next meeting. Make it impossible to miss. Because tomorrow, day 5, we're going to bring all of this together. The right opportunities, the right visibility, the right language, the right proof into a framework you can use consistently, not just in one great meeting, but in every conversation, every proposal, every relationship you build from here on out. And then I'm going to show you the next step forward for those of you who are ready to go deeper. Because understanding these concepts is one thing, building them into the way you actually operate every single day, that's where the real transformation happens. That's where real sales occur. That's where real profits are made. I'll see you tomorrow for day 5. Ever upward.